Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Chocolate Sayin and Arwin. Good to have you both.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon. So while we have a couple of other guests join, I'll just count down the days. So we've got 3 days left before we are due a reification fallacy from the Rumpus in regards to it's got to be knocking on for a year old now, probably. The observation of the Isle of Man, north end of the Isle of Man by Anthony, which got batted around and then kind of forgotten about. But we keep hearing the same thing from the Rumpus. Oh yes, one more week. I've nearly got it done. Me and Philip are going to do a presentation, blah, 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 blah. So we've just been counting down the days over the last 4 days to his reification fallacy. It's begging the question, use of R, modelling out the Isle of Man with presumably a shed load of refraction to account for the fact that we see things that should be hidden by a wall of earth curve that we never see. So there we go, that's the Rumpus. We've also got Sean Hufford, who, in the face of absolutely damning evidence that demonstrated that Geo-Whisperer, Alexander Nickel, or Geo-Streber, was being fed in the background by Soundly during a one-to-one discussion with Anthony about the molten iron core at the centre of the presupposed spherical Earth. So during that discussion, as I say, Alexander Nickel was being fed, but in the face of that, we've got Sean Hufford, who basically accused Anthony of all and sundry and said that there was another hangout that was a Soundly hangout that Anthony was playing in the background. And after accusing Anthony of, like I say, lots of different things, hasn't rescinded any of this, hasn't retracted a single word of it, maintains the lie and backs these liars, Geo-Streber and Soundly, in their deceit of both their audience and us. So that's them, and last but not least, we've got Slice Barcane, who was challenged to debunk Ranty's footage of Barrow Finesse, and he has absolutely failed to do so. In fact, he completely ignored the issue. So that's still outstanding, so hence the countdown to reification. So that's my little summary of why the title is as it is, for the next 3 days at least. In the meantime, any signs of curvature, you two? Clearly not paying a blind bit of attention.
No, sir. There is no signs of curvature.
Maybe this will get his attention. How's the early bird, Darwin? No, I was banking on that getting his attention. Maybe it's just you and I, Chocolate. Any signs of axial rotation?
Not that I'm aware of.
Any evidence of a gas pressure being maintained without a container? No,
Nope,
no evidence
nope.
of
I haven't found any of that.
that. I know you're at work, mate. It's all right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Any evidence of the
It's
distance to the
always
sun?
somebody's always talking to me when I'm trying to talk to you guys.
That's okay. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Yeah, there's none of that. There's no distance to the sun.
No, none of that. Scientific
We don't
evidence of
even know what
gravity?
that is.
Any evidence scientific for gravity?
No, sir.
Self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of presupposed spherical Earth. Any evidence of that?
Other than the cartoons I've seen when I was a kid? Nope.
Last but not least, the R value. Any evidence of Earth radius?
Nah. Nah. We need some type of curvature for a radius. We need a sphere first before we can calculate the radius of that. So
all we get is obstruction, asserted to be curvature. What amazes me is, whenever the conversation is about the heavens, the stars, all globeheads do is talk in angular sizes. Everything's angular size this and angular size that. As soon as you mention it to them in regards to ground-based observations, suddenly they all have amnesia. None of them know what the hell you're talking about. Angles? Why would we account for them? Geometry only. Don't need angles. Don't need to account for the angular size, resolution. You don't need to do any of that. Just take it like it looks in a side view where nothing changes size as you move it into the distance, because it's no longer in the distance, it's just on the right hand side of the page rather than tiny and in the distance.
But it's the only way they can represent the Earth as it really is.
What,
They
by
won't.
ignoring reality? But it just seems so obvious these days. I mean, play by play, they're just reading out what they're being told. So the delusion and the deception is played out by people like Miles Davis, who just basically is parroting the methodology he's told to parrot. And in doing so, he's literally exposing the fact that they are hijacking perspective. He's doing our job for us. It doesn't take much for us to point out where the flaws are. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Nathan.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes.
Let's have you. Turn you up a bit, Chris.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm on a new mic, so getting used to it.
All good. I'll just turn you right up. But yeah, it's making our lives easier by globeheads coming out with this evidence, and it's amazing how their standards quickly erode into very low standards of evidence. So no GPS, no proof of measurements, no going there with a tape measure. Just I'm at this height. I am the same as that. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh right, what happened to all the criticisms of getting the height of the hill really accurate and all that kind of stuff? Is that out the window now? It's your proof. Crap proof that excludes perspective entirely. Oh, we don't need none of that. Just make up as we go along.
it's funny because yesterday I re-listened to the episode where Mick West was on, and I wanted to hear him say again that his whole model is based on an assumption, and it was like you can clearly hear that he really had no actual science for it. It's just the whole calculus just based on an assumption.
He literally said, yeah, I'm just doing it according to the system. That's all. Just doing as he's told.
Just the standard model.
Yeah.
And then they asked him so there's no science for your model, and then he blatantly said, yeah, there's no science. It's based on an assumption. Like, really? That's why I had to go back and listen to it again. It was like, this is the guy who made your precious little calculator, and
He's just trying to hide the truth in plain sight and to basically not let it touch him, at least as possible. Doesn't prevent Nathan from totally showing every little detail of what's insane about that, of course, as he did.
yeah,
But-
definitely.
That
In order
was
to
a
accept
good
that the
day.
calculation's wrong, they've first got to accept that they've been deceived, or, to put it another way, accept that they've been lied to by somebody else. And that's a really difficult for people to do. That's a really difficult thing for people to do. It's easy to lie to somebody, but it's far easier once somebody's accepted that lie to convince them that they have been lied to. Past tense.
Hey, Nathan, have you all talked about the video from, I think it's a guy named Dr. John, the viewing Brighton seafront with the Nikon P510? Have you seen that video?
Possibly. Remind me what's in it.
Well, it's a guy who apparently he's a PhD. He has a PhD in spectrophotometry, which I had to Google that. It says spectrophotometry is a method to measure how much a chemical substance absorbs light by measuring the intensity of light as a beam of light passes through sample solution. So this guy has a PhD in that, and so he knows the light, right, and all of its mechanics pretty well. So he was a glober who heard about flat Earth and all these things, and people, doing laser tests. So he himself wanted to go out and do the experiment, and he used all sort of measurements. He took temperatures and everything. So he did about a 13.5 mile observation, and I mean, I can ruin the ending for you if you want. Otherwise, you can watch it. But
no, it doesn't matter about spoilers. Just tell us the outcome.
So he compares three models. He compares I don't remember what he calls it all, but he compares a flat Earth model versus a globe model versus a third model is a globe model with extreme weather conditions, right, to account for extreme refraction, extreme distortion due to the atmosphere, etc. Out of the three, he says the only model that works is the flat Earth model.
Ha! Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys haven't seen it. It's being shared all over, and it's being
Give us a link, man.
Okay.
Bring that link. That's awesome. I thought you were going to go in a totally different direction and say it's a new glober who is saying, oh, we have proof that the sun is a physical object. Look at, I'm analyzing the light, presupposing that that light is actually physical or originating from a physical for which they have no proof in the first place. Reification fallacy. Right, Nathan? Because they can do that. If you can analyze material through light, and you can actually confirm that that material is that material, yeah, it works. But if you're just gonna apply it to some light, then that doesn't necessarily have to prove that it is made of that material. That may be one of the options, but you have to physically confirm it. Otherwise, you would just be presupposing it, that it is material. Correct, Nathan?
I think he's looking at the video.
I am,
basically,
yeah,
so it's a really long video. It's an hour and 40 minutes, and I didn't, sit through every minute of it, but I sort of scrolled through it, and I read all the slides. And the beginning, if you want to just watch the beginning on your own, it does the, tell us who he is, why he's doing it, the method used, all that. And then, of course, you can jump to the end and see the conclusion of the three models he compares. But he goes into a lot of detail. He uses a lot of math. There was a couple other people that had some academic credentials who also worked on this with him, probably to get the maths right and all that, and angles and everything. But he did a really thorough analysis. One of the cool things when in that part of the video you showed, you just there for a second, he used what I think he called a viewing tube. So he had like this long, maybe 8-foot tube where the camera goes into right the end of the tube, so it prevents extra light from hitting the sides of the camera. So it reduces the amount of light that the camera sees to help with like refraction and all that. Yes. So there he's talking about all the distortion that's possible, but that wasn't seen in his experiment. And he's basically
the interference, basically.
Yeah, and the interference.
Scattering, interference, lens flaring, all that.
Right, and he's talking about there are, the scenarios where light bends up, where it bends down, and I'm just reading here.
Don't worry.
How globers always say, oh, well, it's refraction because it's bending down. He says this guy is saying that over C, light doesn't bend down; it only will bend up. He's like, so it's not possible even for it to bend down. In other words, bend over the curve. He's like, I don't know any documented examples of that even ever happening, which is why he says if you do an observation over water, that's a non-factor. He says the only factor is light going up. Like we've seen those videos of the lasers where at the end the light shoots up. like towards the sky. He goes, then you have to take that into account, but not the downward refraction.
Well, it's a different kind of refraction. You have actual refraction, which you can physically prove, although it is most obvious with a medium change from solid to gas or liquid. That's when refraction is really obvious. Still does happen in the form of diffusing, but the refraction that the ballers refer to is an imaginary construct, an R-based construct that suggests that light literally bends in an R-based fashion around a corner. And that is just a total science fiction made up concept. It's nothing like the real refraction. It's just a made up thing.
Yeah, an arbitrary 7/6R applied to bend light around a sphere Earth that's also presupposed with a radius value. So, yeah, it's total nonsense. That's what we were talking about the other day with Rumpus, and I can't remember the other person it was in. I think it might have been Alan. But yeah, exactly. What the hell does refraction have to do with terrestrial refraction, i.e. light bending around a curved Earth at 7/6 the radius of that presupposed curved Earth?
So let me read his synopsis, and you were showing it, but I want to read it. The incontrovertible observations and scientific evidence presented here prove, 1, that we do not live on the World Geodetic System WGS 84 globe / ellipsoid model. 2, that the non-curvature model is the only model that can account for the observations. 3, the sea between Worthing and Brighton seafront possesses no curvature or such limited curvature that within the parameters of the experiment, the curvature model is indistinguishable from the non-curvature model. PhD.
Wow.
Not an
And
experiment.
when did he do all this? When is it just really recently, or?
Well, I mean, he posted the video recent. I don't know when he did the observations.
Yeah, did he started to engage in this, and when did he start to go public about this? I'm very curious.
So it says in the description, on the evening of Tuesday, October 22nd and Wednesday, October 23rd.
This year?
Yes.
Wow, so it's really fresh, man.
Yeah, it was just posted 2 days ago as far as the video is concerned.
Guys, we need to dive into this. This could be extremely valuable. So give me that link. What's his channel?
In the side chat.
It's in the side chat. Yeah.
Oh, right. Thanks. I'll check him out right away.
You know, and again in the video, it's an hour and 40 minutes, so there's a lot of detail, and I looked at most of it. He uses Mick West's curvature calculator so that he uses both the hidden and the refracted hidden, so that nobody can say, oh, well, the refracted hidden says this and you didn't use that. Well, he uses the refract. He says, well, you don't even need to use the refracted hidden because it doesn't apply in this scenario. He goes, but for sake of argument, I'm going to use the refracted hidden anyway. And even using the refracted hidden, you still wouldn't see the stuff that he saw at the base of the observation.
Hold on, you're telling me he didn't apply superlooming? Well, then the guy's an idiot. Why didn't he just automatically assume that it bent more around the Earth? Not just that it bent around the Earth, it needs to bend more. What is this guy? Doesn't he understand how to beg the question? What's wrong with him?
I think it's 8/6 R they need to use instead of 7/6.
Oh, my bad.
Is he too proud to beg the question?
So let's not worry about the conditions. Let's just say the conditions match 8/6R.
The new standard refraction.
What, a bit more globy because we've got better cameras now?
So I think it's a
Hey, Larry.
fantastic.
Can you not kick him this time, Arwen?
No promises.
He doesn't have to promise anything. He
fantastic-
doesn't have to promise anything. Just all are welcome. Don't kick him. Hello, Larry.
Hello.
Good to have you.
Can you post a link again? I was actually interested to see it.
Yeah, I'll stick it in the chat. It's in the public chat feed now.
And the
There you
comment
go. I didn't
section
hang
is disabled, so
Thanks.
Yes,
Yeah. That was smart of him.
indeed.
And likes and dislikes, I noticed. I still get a bit of like, because it does register. It just doesn't get displayed.
Well, it's smart because people watching this won't be distracted by all the trolling crap. So it's good.
Be sure to comment on
If
this
it is
video.
really that valuable, and it probably is. Still have to look and still have to watch it all. But I will definitely this afternoon.
Yeah, I haven't been able to join in a couple weeks, but I've been listening as much as possible, at work and things. And last couple days, I thought somebody would pull this up, and I didn't hear it, but I wasn't sure, so I thought I'd bring it up and see, because I think it's a fantastic video, fantastic piece of evidence that just once again shows that it's not refraction, it's not looming, it's not mirage. He sees what he sees through the camera. He was at 9 centimeter height off the water. He shows all of that, of course, documented. He's using spirit levels to make sure the apparatus is level with the water. He's used the viewing tube to limit the amount of light. I mean, this guy knows what he's doing. He's a PhD in whatever it was called, spectrophotometry. So he already knew about light, how it works, through different various mediums. So he's probably one of the perfect people to do this experiment and analyze the results.
I would love to have sorry for again doing this, Nathan. Love to have a conversation with this guy about that specifically, the light spectrography, and about what it is, because it's one of these things that I've bumped into, even in like a space museum, sort of like an astronomy like museum, which is very glowish here in Utrecht where I live. And they also said like, oh yeah, look, because of the light that we see from the sun, it is proof that it is consistent of material. But that's just how do you say? Damn it! I got it right the previous time. What is it again, Nathan? If you assume your outcome, then
What are you talking about? Begging the question.
now it's P is Q.
Oh, the calculator, the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking.
No. Talking about light. If you test light with material and it works, then you know that, hey, this light is correlating with that material. But if you do that, for example, with the sun, you have no confirmation that it is material, but you are using it as a standard, as a confirmation that it is material. Because look,
spectroscopy.
That's a thing also that they do. And it is the same, P is Q, therefore Q must be P, and that's wrong.
Right?
Yeah. You're getting this, right?
Exactly. Spectroscopy is a formal logical fallacy. It is affirming the consequent.
If you apply to the heavens.
If copper burns with an orange flame, then... Oh, hello, Ranty Flat Earth. How are you doing?
Hello.
Good to have you.
Good to be here.
Ranty.
Hey, Ranty.
Hiya. How is everybody?
Very well, very well.
Please
How
continue.
are you? Kept me awake till God knows what hour last night. I'm really knackered now.
Oh, right, yeah. Sorry about that, Nate.
That's all right.
But Flat Earth doesn't sleep.
It doesn't, you're right. Did you resolve whatever? I can't even remember what we were talking about now. Was it resolved in the end?
Oh, I can't even remember myself what we were talking about.
It seemed really important. It probably wasn't.
Oh, it was Timmy Osmond's observation, wasn't it? Yeah, that was it.
I do remember. Yeah, we were looking at some of the parallax in it. Yes, I do remember.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, I'm still trying to find that particular building that we were talking about, so you might have to bear with me on that.
We'll figure it out.
It looks like that building. So, what are you guys talking about then?
We were talking about the reification fallacy of spectrography in applying it on the heavenly bodies. And Nathan was giving an example, then you came in about if copper burns with an orange flame, and then okay, copper gives an orange flame. If you then see an orange flame, and you're going to assume that it therefore must be copper, and that's, you don't have proof of that with any heavenly body related thing anyway. So that makes it a reification fallacy.
Yeah, and affirming the consequent.
Indeed.
Yeah, I said on the before anybody joined, I was on my own for a few minutes when I did the pre-show, and I was just literally chatting to myself about Jaron asking me to go on. He's asked me to go on and do logical fallacies that are used and abused on the show, and it's just finding the time to actually go back through them and snip out like half a dozen or a dozen examples of where somebody's used a logical fallacy. I mean, I've had a few suggestions from people, Larry's examples of using logical fallacies. I've got a few examples of those that I'll probably use, just because somebody noted them to me. Not that he's more guilty or less guilty of using logical fallacy than anybody else who comes here.
You know what's so fun? Oh,
can I ask what logical fallacies I have used then?
You can. I'll have to go and dig out the person that told me which ones and where. Give me 5 seconds. I'll just see if I can find them for you, Larry. Talk amongst yourselves. This is going to take me a couple of minutes.
Hey, Ranty, have you heard of a viewing pipe for a camera?
Oh, from that video from Globusters.
Yeah, we talked about that for about 10 minutes. Nathan and Arwen hadn't seen that yet.
It's pretty cool, actually. I did think about, once he'd done it, I thought, maybe I should get a drain pipe, take it with me and do the same thing.
Yeah, did you watch the video or see the conclusion? What did you think about it?
Well, I think it's been pretty scientifically done. It's hard for them to argue the conclusions.
Right. I mean, we have, the part of the argument is that we don't have any scientists or academics on your side. Well, this guy's a PhD in spectrophotometry, right? So a science dealing with light. And he goes out and does a 13.5 mile, I believe, or something around there, 13.6 mile test, and does the analysis over 2 days with different temperatures and at different times of the day. And he compares 3 models of flat Earth, around Earth, and around Earth with special, I forget what he calls it, special weather conditions, right? So extreme distortion, extreme refraction, etc. And the only one he says that will account for the observation is the non-circular Earth.
Yep. Indeed. And I think we all don't need to have letters after our name, though, to be scientists in our own way. But it's nice to have somebody with those letters actually coming out and saying that, they can't actually find any curve.
Right.
Right, I found it. If you guys are okay for me to read this out?
Yep.
Okay, so shout out to John, otherwise known as Quantum Eraser, as it was him that passed this to me. Your first contestant for report on logical fallacies today. This wasn't today. Anthony, quote, what evidence do you have that we live on a sphere? End quote. Larry, quote, what evidence do you have that we don't? This is an argument appeal to ignorance fallacy. It is an argument for or against a proposition on the basis of lack of evidence, against or for it. Then he gives a link to that particular logical fallacies, as John tends to. He's very good at that. There are 2 forms of affirmative. The conclusion is true because there is no evidence against it. Negative. The conclusion is false because there is no evidence against it. Larry's is the affirmative. And the second one. Anthony, there is no evidence we live on a ball. End quote. Larry, well, prove it then. He says, laughing my ass off. He wants you to prove non-existent evidence. And then he puts a crazy face. P.S. There was a bonus. Appeal to motive, intent fallacy. Larry, you just want to push your own direction and ask me questions that don't go in that direction. That gives me a clear clue that you're not actually wanting a discussion here. So that's the appeal to motive and intent fallacy. There you go.
Well, that was informative.
Oh, there was one more. So there was also the reification fallacy. So, Larry, it worked out perfectly with the globe model, end quote. That's a reification fallacy.
Why would that be a reification? What?
Oh, we don't live on a model.
Oh yeah, now I remember. This is the bullshit point.
Yeah, we don't live on a model. Why?
I can't believe you people actually take this argument seriously. Like,
what do you mean? What do you mean, you people?
Well, at least Oakley and Quantum Eraser take these points.
Yeah, but when you say you people,
that's just
you say it very derogatory, in a very derogatory way.
Well, sorry, this is a derogatory conversation to begin with. Like, it's already polarized, so this shit happens all the time on both sides. I can apologize for being derogatory, but yeah, can't really help it.
Yeah, you're conditioned to be that way. It's okay.
Like, I don't understand this whole reification fallacy. Like, it's to me, it's such a bullshit point because, you know, language works that way. Like, for example, now I said language works. Well, if you take it literally, of course, language doesn't work. So is that also a reification fallacy? Like,
no,
it's an analogy, or it's the way we use language.
No,
we say things like that all the time.
That's not true.
It's just so silly to get stuck on that point.
Do you think you live on a globe, Laurie?
Why is that question relevant?
Because the globe is a model. The fact that you think that you actually live on a globe, that's a reification fallacy. We don't live on a model. The map is not the terrain. That's a reification fallacy.
Look, you're trying to... Flat Earth is also a model, right? Or isn't it?
No.
Okay, so your argument is Flat Earth is just reality. Well, yeah. I can say to that, well, globe Earth is not a model, it's just reality.
But
we don't live on a model, we just live on a globe Earth, and globe Earth is reality.
Well, you can say that, Larry, but that's nonsense denial. Because the globe Earth is a model, that's a fact.
Yeah,
you
but
can deny
do you understand that rhetorically speaking?
That's like a
speaking
child
from
sticking
a
his fingers in his
rhetorical
ears, though, isn't it?
Logical standpoint, our arguments are the same.
Hello.
So that's like you sticking your fingers in your ears, though. You're going, la, 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 it's not a model, it's not a reification fallacy. Yeah, it is. You don't have to like it.
Well, you actually make my point, because when flat earthers say that, oh yeah, we don't have a model, we just live in reality, that's exactly what you're doing. You're sticking your fingers in your ears and saying la, la, la.
No. The model's the reification fallacy. Not having a model. So saying you're doing that, no, that's you projecting onto us. You have a model, the heliocentric...
So,
I'm obviously done talking. You have a model. It's called the heliocentric model. You think that's the real world, though, Larry. That's a reification fallacy. You don't have to like it.
Do you understand that a model can be real and real at the same time?
He's literally telling me to accept it as a reification fallacy. In other words, don't you understand that it is real? No, Larry. It's a reification fallacy.
Don't
live
shout
on a model.
Over me. Don't shout over me. If you're gonna have this conversation, act like an adult, mate.
You're telling me that a model can be real.
If it rains outside, it can be both my theory that it rains and it can be reality. Do you understand that?
A model of rain isn't reality. Rain is real. A model of rain isn't.
Yeah.
You're saying that the globe... sorry, if you can't have a conversation with me, Larry, I'll kick you out. If you can't have a two-way conversation with me, Larry, I'll kick you out. So I was in the middle of a sentence. You're demanding that the globe model... here we go, you're off again. Are you 3 years old? Can you not have an adult conversation, Larry?
I can, but you clearly can't.
Right, well, I was in the middle of a sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
Right, you're telling me that the globe model is real. That we do actually live on a sphere? That's the reification fallacy.
And you are saying flat Earth model is real and we live in a model.
No, we're not. We've just gone through this. Didn't you listen?
Because you just deny that it's not a model. Flat Earth is not
Sorry,
a model. It
it's
is a model.
not.
So you're just
Sorry,
being
it's not a model.
silly
What
moron.
you're saying, I just deny it's just a model. So you want to strawman me and accuse me of having a model? No. The Earth is obviously and observably flat. There is no requirement
It's
to model
also
that.
obviously and observably
Again, you
spherical.
interrupted me before I finished my sentence, Larry. Are you 3
Does it
years
matter?
old? Are you incapable of an adult conversation? So I'll say it again. Hopefully you won't cut me off this time. I do not need to assert a model to say that the Earth... Hello, Sam. Just being trolled because Larry's having his ass handed to him. Yes, it is a reification fallacy.
I know. I know you're having your ass handed back to you.
Yet you're not living on a model, but you believe you live on a spinning
Yes,
sphere.
we live on a spinning ball, and it's reality.
No, that's just a model, Larry. That's just a model.
No, you also have a model. Flat
Yeah,
Earth-
you've said that 3 times, right? And you're beginning to piss me off. I'll say it again for the deaf, dumb, stupid idiot that is Larry. I do not have any requirement whatsoever for a model. You have a model. It's called the heliocentric
also have a
model.
model.
Why do you keep talking over me, Larry?
It's not a straw man.
It is a straw man. We do not.
Prove it then, Arwin.
Oh, so he's now telling us to prove it's not a straw man. I've said it 3 times. We don't have a model. If you keep talking over me, Larry, I'm going to kick you out. Just trying to disrupt the hangout. You're a pale impression of Rumpus. So stop talking over me. Stop straw manning us. We don't have a model. You do.
But you have a model. You just want to deny.
So I'm going to kick you out because that's the 4th time after I've told you we don't have a model. You've told me we do have a model. Stop straw manning us. Get out. No, we don't have a
told
model.
you it was-
I'll say it 5th time. Now I've kicked Larry out because I'm tired of it. We do not have any requirement whatsoever for a model. I can look out and see that the Earth's flat and not model it. There's no requirement. The globe heads have a model. It's called the heliocentric model. It is definitely a model. To assert that you live on that model, on a sphere, is a reification fallacy. You don't live on a model. The fact that Larry is going to continually assert that he does is because he is a victim of a reification fallacy and wants to deny it. That makes him a bonehead, difficult to get through to. Don't keep reasserting that we have a model because it's difficult for you to digest that you have a reification fallacy problem. That would be you, Larry, not me. Stop asserting that we have your problem.
I think he has a religious belief that a model is the requirement for reality. I really think he does, because he constantly falls back to this, while we are saying the exact opposite. Like, no, look, models are pseudoscience. We have just these raw observations that tell us that, yeah, it's not working out. And we don't know what the complete confines of this world is. We don't know the entire layout, the real layout. And we don't know how big the Earth is, how it interconnects. But just because we don't know this doesn't mean that we can definitely determine that it is flat. That's the aspect we know about. That's why we call it flat. It's not a big arrow towards, look, this flat Earth model that has come up a lot. Because we deny that, saying, yeah, it's still just a projection. It's conceptual. It is a model, and there's things wrong with it here and there. And there's still being presumed to be like that without proof. So again, yeah, you don't need a model to define aspects of reality.
Hey, Jose.
I'm not a troll.
Absolutely correct, Darwin. Spot on. But they need the false dichotomy. They need it to be our model v their model. So it's everybody constantly reifying their belief in a model. And it's our reification fallacy versus his reification fallacy. Sod that. I'm tired of it. You know, that Larry guy is just a pale imitation of Rumpus. So to assert 5 times that I've got a model, when all we say here is models are pseudoscience, it's a reification fallacy. In fact, that's the very point we're making about him and his model. To just say, well, no, I can't argue with you unless I strawman you into having a model. So if you don't accept that you've got a model, I'll just keep saying it to the audience so that they think you have one. So I can fight that. Well, sod that. Another fallacy, another straw man fallacy. Larry, maybe he is more guilty than some of the others. He can't help himself. All he uses is fallacy. So we don't have a straw man model for you to burn down, Larry. Doesn't matter how many times you say it, I'll just kick your ass out. You're the same as the rest of the disingenuous ballers. You have to misrepresent our position in the face of me telling you outright that you're wrong. You won't accept that. You won't provide evidence and say, here you go, look, here's you punting a model. All right, well, let's see that then.
Can it be a debate / discussion without mentioning a model? Of course. That's the whole idea. Why to bring the model to the table? I mean, it makes no sense. The discussion can continue, but yeah, the model thing, I don't.
See, you're still doing it from the chat. You have a model, you're just in denial. No, we don't. You are the one with the reification fallacy, and you are now projecting that onto us, Larry. You definitely have a model. And saying that the model is the world precisely as you did, you said, well, the model is the world. Can't you accept that the model is the world? No, that's the point we're making, Larry. That's a reification fallacy.
I mean, in reality, is there a fully functional globe Earth model? Because I seen somebody try to present a model of the atmospheric, the pressure gradient, and what was presented was a graphic table with numbers. That's not a model. Like, I don't call that a model. What the hell?
Their model, when they actually apply it to any ground-based observations, excludes perspective. So their model's riddled with faults and holes and errors and inconsistencies, and in some instances, downright deception. And again, these people will deny and adhere to the propaganda that they've been poisoned with, because it's that, what's that syndrome where people fall in love with their kidnapper?
Yeah, I don't know the term, but I heard what you mean. Yeah.
Somebody from the chat will remind me. There's a particular term for it where people basically fall in love with the person that's keeping them captive, and that's basically the syndrome that all of these globers have. They've been told by the powers that should not be that they're on a sphere, that they must accept the reification fallacy as reality, and they do, and they'll tell us that that's acceptable in the face of us pointing out that it's a reification fallacy. And then they'll try and strawman us and tell us that, no, you do this, you have a model. No, our point is that we don't, and you do, and that's the fallacy. So to just say, no, you have a model, well, you're ignoring the point. You are the one we're addressing as having a model, and that being a reification fallacy, and your best defense is to say that we're guilty of it while we're pointing it out to you. My God, that's weak.
I have noticed the different approach the globe defenders take. Some coming with the model strawman, some coming with the math is reality or whatever strawman, some coming with the gravity or pressure gradient. They all have like a task on hand. They have to push and push and push and learn and relearn and try to push it down our throats. So we have to accept it because they know
it's like compartmentalization. That's what it is. They have to come at every excuse. They have to try to master every excuse that they have for every problem that we ask. That's what it is.
Stockholm syndrome. Shout out to Slick James Johnson. Yeah, okay, Stockholm syndrome. That's what the globers are suffering with. Their oppressors are the ones who force them to believe this bullshit, and they'll defend it on behalf of their oppressor. It's amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate a good discussion, like when Zinder come in and the discussion can be taking place, or Apollo himself and some other guys. They got an honest approach and they can have an argument without presupposing too much and invoking BS, you know. But then some of them, they just invoke the gravity straight up and the space or some of that stuff. I don't appreciate that.
Now he's gone the other way, so he's denying that they're models. Well, the globe and space vacuum are no models either. I think he means not models either. Yeah, they are. That's precisely what they are. So you're going to deny that they're models. Okay, you know, this is great, Larry. You're showing my audience just how deluded you are, making my point. Wonderful. If you don't think they're models, you're stupid. They are models. That's all they are. And to assert that a model is reality is a reification fallacy. That is the point. So to just say, well, maybe I get that using a model as reality is a reification fallacy. Well, they're not really models. Are you dumb? I think you are, Larry. Just stupid.
I don't understand this concept of models or reality. I mean, I have a model car in my house. Doesn't mean I can get in the car and start it and drive. I don't. It's a model. It's not a real car. Like what is it? How is it that they can't distinguish the difference between a model and reality? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and then you
when you
compare
phrase
it
it
with the
like
real
that,
car and put it side by side. They say this doesn't add up. Let me pull this little part in here. It break in pieces. It doesn't. It doesn't match the freaking real thing, you know?
Yeah, and then they might try to deny perspective and tell me both cars are the same size or something. Like I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
These guys are nuts. I don't know.
yeah, I like the current raft of observations from the Globeheads because it does highlight their perspective denial. Same with the Walter Bisling calculator. When you start actually using his model, which is put in first-person perspective, but uses the begging the question calculations. So it is an orthographic representation of the world. When you start sticking things in relation to each other, it doesn't matter that he ignores the second set of maths for the second target. You can just see it on screen. They ignore perspective. Things stay the same relative sizes of each other. So you go, all right. So this wind turbine in this mountain, we did it with Rantes. You know, we stuck the mountain in, stuck the wind turbine in, and what do you know? They should be proportionately the same size as they are in actual feet and inches. And you go, well, hang on a second, the mountain's further away. Shouldn't it be a bit smaller? No. On a flat Earth, it would be relatively the same size because we ignore perspective. It's like these people must have noticed this, and if they haven't, then they're just stupid. You know, I wondered why Walter Bisling's calculator hadn't been highlighted to us, and it's because it makes the point even better. You know, you actually get to model out what they think the world is in it, and you go, wow, you actually think this is how you see the world, do you? My God, you guys are stupid. If that's how you think the world is, because it isn't. You just look out your window. It's not like that at all. Perspective's there, shockingly.
Yeah, but ballers be like, let me take a screenshot of this picture you got there. You got the sunset halfway blocked, and you got the turbines with different sizes. Let me show you an orthographic view to see how the turbines are the same height. So one is behind the curve of the Earth, and the sun is going away around the spherical Earth too. How about that?
Yeah, those crazy globers. They're all bonkers.
Indeed.
So I take it no observations today, as it's presumably as miserable at YU as it is here, Auntie?
It is miserable. Miserable.
Oh, I'm going today.
Where you heading out to?
I've been working on this, the observation of Timmy Osmond.
Okay.
I think I'm ready to present something.
Go ahead.
Give me a sec. I think he's been telling fibs. I mean, I might be wrong. And if he wants to come in and tell me where I've gone wrong, then that's fine. Let me just share my screen and show you.
He had a long hangout yesterday. He said if anybody want the raw footage or the whole videos, he got it. You got to reach to him, and he will pass along the whole video on those observations.
Okay.
You're on, by the way.
Right. Well, essentially, we have, this is two of the images that I've cropped out that he uses. So obviously, he goes and he says that this top one shows the hidden, and this bottom one shows a nice clear sight, etc., etc.
Hey, Apollo.
Who's that, Apollo?
Yeah.
Right. So, what I think he's done. I've lined up his obviously where he's taken the two observations from. And what has happened is they've triangulated to these two positions. Now, I think that this is the observation that he's taken off the bridge, 32.3 miles away. And this gives a perfect line of sight into the buildings at the exact angle by lining up everything.
Yeah, okay.
So when I scroll in and I show you, we've got this building with spires on. We've got this archway on the roof. and the direct line of sight intersects the archway in these two buildings behind. So when we check that, this is how it lines up exactly as you would expect. So that is the line of sight that he had. And he does have a clear line of sight at it. So if I go on to the actual line measure, hang on, I think it's show the elevation profile. No, that's the other one. So just bear with me. So it's this one. Show the elevation profile. So yeah, he does have a very clear line of sight to it, and then the buildings obviously rise up. Well, the land that the buildings are situated on rise up. So this is consistent with what he says. The problem comes that the highest part of this up here is 1321 meters, right? And the only place that he could have got the observation where he's looking at those buildings directly is on this line of sight, on this land, on this part here, right? So he's obviously taken it from Antelope Island or somewhere in this vicinity in Antelope Island. The problem is that this is his line of sight, and if I hover over here and then I put the elevation profile on, we come to a point here where we're going up to about 1595 meters, nearly 1600 meters. And then we're looking, obviously, over at the far end here, which is 1322. So he's actually looking down into the buildings from an elevation. So when he's showing this image here, this one, he's actually looking down into the buildings rather than looking parallel to it. So obviously he's going to see more of the buildings because he's looking down into it. He's looking at it from an elevated position. And I can show you where he's took that position from too. So I've triangulated again this spire with, again, that archway and the buildings behind. And this has two windows visible on that building behind. And if I scroll in onto Google Earth, I can show you how that all lines up too. So he's obviously taken it from, he can't have taken it from the roadside. He has to have taken it from that, that island in the middle. And as I say, the problem is if he's looking down into it, it's going to open up the angle. So he's going to see an awful lot more. He's going to be looking down into these buildings. So this is the line of sight to that. And obviously we've got the spire. When I come back here, we've got the spire. We've got the thing here, the direct line. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's right. Was it from this side? I can't recall. Yeah, that's right. So there we go. So I think he's taking it from an elevated position, Nathan.
Okay, so that was kind of what I was hinting at when I said, did you come to a conclusion? Okay, cool. Yeah, I think based on what we discussed yesterday and what you've shown now, because that was obviously unfamiliar to me, I agree. It does seem like he's seeing a much, much wider angle for whatever reason. It may be elevation.
Yeah, I think he's looking down into it. So when I look at the buildings of Barrow, for instance, and I show that I can see the houses behind the sand dune, I'm looking over it. I'm looking down into it. I'm looking into the town, or as from an elevated position, or at least the same height. Here, he had a position to be way higher. So I'd like to see the video of him where he took this from.
Excellent presentation.
Does he do a 360 on the original video? Is that
I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen the video, so I don't know. I can't be sure.
Yeah, maybe
I haven't seen it either. I cannot say I've seen it because I haven't.
He does tend to get quite a lot of footage, so he tends to be pretty willing to share it with people who are willing to do the work, which you have. So
yeah, I mean,
he's been very active in his channel. So if whoever Ranty jump in and he's having a show, if you type in chat you want to join, just jump in the panel and tell him like, hey, you know what, hook me up with the footage. I want to analyze it. I think he'll be all right with that. Yeah,
the problem is, like I say, he just has this one observation and he keeps parroting it, and he has done for the past 6 months. He's literally, that's all he ever does. He puts these images up, and it frustrates me because if it was such a good place to go and get these observations, he'd have hundreds of them. He'd be there every day. He'd be doing live streams. He's got one observation, and I question it.
Stuff. Well, Certainly learning how to poke the bear quick enough, aren't you?
Well, hopefully he'll join.
I think there's been a change in your attitude in the last few days, actually, Rantier. Like, a very significant change. You've gone from, like, deep concern about these claims that these idiots make to, oh, who cares? It's just nonsense. And now you've gone, let's start looking at the other nonsense then. And, you know, you can tell that you're a lot more relaxed in your attitude towards this stuff. And it is all nonsense. At the end of the day, every image that's going to be presented is going to pan out to be a flat earth proof in one way or another, because the earth is actually flat. So it doesn't really warrant that much concern, you know. Really, it doesn't.
True. I'm you know, I mean, at the end of the day, when you're getting attacked left, right, and centre with these ballers, and essentially, you know, you remember when 9/11 came out and they had this narrative that they kept parroting, and that's basically to try and put it in people's consciousness. So when they're saying things like I'm the best globe proof and all this stuff, it's just that they just don't understand what's being presented to them, or they willfully ignore it, in which case they're just putting this parroting this narrative to try and make other people think that the work I'm doing should be dismissed, when essentially it's been taken on board by a lot of other flat earthers. They're starting talking about it now, talking about the compression, the infirmirage. So, you know, they're attacking me, and I'm just not bothered anymore. Don't care. I don't even watch the stuff. When I see a new video that's been done about me, I don't even watch it. So
I'm going to use that as an opportunity to round out this first debate. So with that, I will say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. The pre-show, together with this debate, will replay after the second debate ends over on my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley. So tune in to the pre-show and this debate if you're a late riser or you've just tuned in. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!